Well, it's officially Rose Bowl week here for the Oregon Ducks. Oregon College football playoff quarterfinal matchup against those Ohio State Buckeyes is set for Wednesday. Sunday afternoon, the Ducks departed from Eugene Airport for Southern California. Well, they will take on the Buckeyes on New Year's Day at 2 p.m. on ESPN. Be sure to tune in all week for our Rose Bowl coverage ahead of Wednesday's playoff game. Sports reporter Aaron Slindy will be live from Los Angeles starting tonight with daily reports leading up to Wednesday's game. Now joining our own Aaron Slindy in that media suite in Pasadena, the voice of the Ducks, Jerry Allen. Now I had the chance to sit down with the man behind many legendary calls as he prepares for the Rose Bowl. We spoke about the highs and lows, albeit more highs, of the Oregon Ducks football season and his anticipation for the team's next venture into the college football playoff. Well, now on NBC 16 today, we are joined by the voice of the Oregon Ducks football program, coming off of a really special season, Mr. Jerry Allen. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
It's a pleasure. Please don't call me Mr. Makes me feel old. Just Jerry. That works.
Jerry works for me. Well, Jerry, how long have you been covering these Oregon Ducks from this pedestal up here above Autzen Stadium?
Oh, gosh, long enough that some of the kids that are playing now, I broadcast their dad's games. Because I joke sometimes that I feel like I got here about the time I got off the ark with Noah. You know, it was a long time ago. 36, 37 years. You know,
Yeah.
I forget exactly how many. Georgie has been with me for all but 2 of those years, so we're quite a team.
You just probably have quite the repertoire, or quite the rapport going between the two of you guys, huh?
Yeah, when you work that long together and you anticipate each other's words and you know what each other are thinking and you see facial expressions and just little hand motions. So yeah, it's easy. It really is easy when you're working with the right people.
And not only is it easy working with the right people, probably easy working with the right team. When you have one going undefeated in their first year in the Big Ten, what has it been like sitting up here watching this Oregon Ducks program succeed as much as they have here in that first year in the Big Ten?
Well, you know, it may seem odd to say this, it's been like a lot of other years. I mean, this is a special year. They got a chance to win it all. They're undefeated. Didn't have many seasons or teams have been able to do that. But we've been in 2 national championships games before, so I've seen teams like this. Marcus Mariota teams. I mean, you know, Dennis Dixon. We've had some years. Even the years. I mean, the year we used to love to get to 6-5. Yeah. We were bowl eligible. Those were great years. And to compare those years to this year, yeah, we're undefeated. Yeah, I got a chance for a national championship. But at the time, those were just as special.
And you got to watch all of that. You talked about it when we first got here this morning, that this team, you've seen it transform into this program that is a powerhouse. But you're right, 6 wins used to be significant. So
yeah.
Are you telling Ducks fans to, you know, be grateful for what they have in front of them a little bit there?
Oh, no doubt. Don't ever get over prideful and expect that it's going to be like this all the time. I mean, that's just not life. Rich Brooks, really give him credit. I mean, he was here for 18 years without all of the weight rooms and the facilities and everything that he needed to compete with the top programs in the nation. But he still got it done. And they got to the Rose Bowl in 95, winning that 94 season. And so Rich Brooks, I think he built the base of it. And then he brought Mike Bellotti in, who was his offensive coordinator, and moved on head coach. He added to that. So I've seen it just, you know, expand and get higher and higher and bigger until where it is now. And it's been interesting to see where Oregon was, just Autzen Stadium, no Cas Center, no Mo, no practice facility, nothing, just parking lot, to what we have now. It's like, wow.
Right up there with those other powerhouse programs
no
across
doubt,
the country. Yeah. Now, you talked about it a little bit. This team, you talked about Dennis Dixon years in the national championship. You talked about Marcus Mariota taking to the national championship. I'm sure there are Duck fans at home suffering from the PTSD right now, thinking about he wasn't down and all this.
Oh yeah.
Is this team, do they feel different? Does it, you know, it's a lot of defense compared to those former offensive powerhouses. Does it feel different to watch this team get to that undefeated mark?
Yeah, in some ways it does, and I feel like it is more from a coaching perspective. It's a process. Coaches always try to get guys to buy in all season long, practices, distractions, keep them away, you know, the moment, live in the moment and be coachable. Dan Lanning, I think, and we've had some great coaches, sure. Chip Kelly, Mike Bellotti, Rich Brooks, I mean, you name it, we have some great ones. Dan Lanning is different. Dan Lanning has players that are as good as any in the nation, any of the top teams, maybe some players who are better. but I think it's what he gets out of his players, what his staff gets out of his players, how much they believe in him, how much they do exactly what he wants and believe in the process. And the leadership of this team is different. So you can't get to a national championship level and not have something different about you. And I think it starts at the top of Dan Lanning.
Yeah, he's proving every day the grass is pretty darn green here in Eugene, right?
Yeah, it is.
Now, I don't know if it felt that way all season for the Ducks. We know they're undefeated, but I remember I sat in this stadium when Boise State and Ashton Genty came to town and really took this team kind of wire to wire in a really competitive game. Friends in my group chats were, the world was melting down for some of them at the end of that game, thinking, Ohio State's coming to town soon, but they have conquered every challenge. What has been one of your favorite things to watch about this team this year sitting up here?
The improvement from that early season. Early season, we were good, okay? There were some flaws, some things they had to work out, and I think that's where great coaching comes in. I think the coaches looked at those first few games and went, okay, we don't have the right pieces in the right place. Take some games. You can go through fall camp and think you've got it, but until you play games and you actually see who's doing what, you may need to adjust things, And I think Coach Lanning and Tosh and the guys did just that. So by the time you get to game 4 or 5, you feel more comfortable with what you've got. Watching that growth from game 1 through game 3 or 4 was interesting because we thought the same thing after game 1, after the Boise State game. Wow, what's wrong? Well, we didn't realize how good Boise State was at the time either.
Sure.
Genty was the real deal. But seeing this team get better, take care of mistakes, clean things up, grow, learn, and expand the wealth of talent that they have, that's been fun to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you're right. We had to learn a little bit about what Boise State was, but also the offense wasn't hitting on all cylinders. The offensive line needed some cleaning up, but you said it. They've gone through every step through the way and improved all along. You were here the last time they met the next challenge they're facing, those Ohio State Buckeyes. What do you think is the key to getting past that team once again? It's hard to beat a team twice, a team of that caliber especially, twice in 1 year.
I think these two teams are about dead even. Talent-wise, coaching-wise, they're up there. The difference is which team doesn't beat itself. I've said that throughout the season. The Big Ten championship game, when you go into a game, if your teams are pretty equal, you've got the talent, you're pretty much the same in the trenches, you've got great receivers, you've got great defenses, both quarterbacks are great. So which team blinks? Which team makes a mistake, beats themselves with an untimely turnover, with a 15-yard face mask penalty when it's 3rd down at 25 and you give a team another chance? Which team between these two makes the biggest mistake has the best chance of winning? And I think at the end of that game with Ohio State, they had a couple of mistakes. An offensive pass interference, which is very clear, and push off, and then clock management in the end for Ohio State. Otherwise, these teams are right there. It's going to be a great ball game.
You talked about it earlier. You don't travel quite as much as you used to during the basketball seasons when you were covering that as exclusively. Are you making the trip down to Pasadena this year?
Oh yeah, I'm still traveling with the team everywhere they go. That's part of the job. It's part of one of the perks, I guess. And the older I've gotten, the harder travel is. The closer you stay to the bathroom in the airplane. It's really funny how things change. But we joked about that earlier.
Yeah.
But no, the trips are fun. You get the chance to see the young men get on the plane. The mental preparation they're going through. They're getting ready every hour of every day. The sacrifices that young athletes, not just Oregon, but young athletes make to play at this level are amazing. And then they get on a plane and they're still working on it. They get to a hotel, it's meetings, there's not a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
And then after the game, you get back on the plane and people listen, boy, it must have been a fun plane ride home after that win. These guys are beat up.
Yeah.
They get into those seats and they're just collapsing. And the coaches are right back on the video watching
What's
for the
next?
next game. Yeah, so it's a process. It's fun to be a part of, and I'm a little way back in the back scene, but watching it it's pretty gratifying.
Now, I'll finish with this last question. We talked about it a little bit ago. The Ohio State game's the next one. Obviously, the biggest one on the schedule is the next one. And it's a Dan Lanning message to this team.
Only one more.
All year long. Just one more. 1-0 against these guys down in Pasadena. What's going to be the trick? You talked about not beating yourself, but if you could think of one thing the Ducks need to do on New Year's Day to beat Ohio State, what's that one thing?
I've said this before. If Oregon plays Oregon football, if they play up to the capabilities that they have been coached and earned, then they're a better team. If they in the trenches, do your job. Coach Lanning says this all the time. If 10 guys do their job, one guy doesn't, that's not success. If every single guy will do his job, they're each good enough in every position in offense and defense to win this game. Miss your job, opportunity for your opponent. So it kind of goes back to no mistakes, play your football. Oregon football, when they're at their best, I think they're unbeatable. If they play their best, they'll be okay.
Well, I know Dan Lanning's running a tight ship when the broadcasters are running with that same Oregon versus Oregon mentality. Things are all right here.
I run through a brick wall for them. I run through a brick. Yeah,
that's right.
No.
Well, we'll need that energy down there in Pasadena. I want to say, Mr. Allen, for all the respect for the work you've done here. But Jerry, as you said earlier,
yes,
thanks so much for coming on.
I appreciate asking
me. Have a great time down there.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks.